Dr. Muhammad Farhani, and now we go live again. This is our third seminar series organized by Information Assurance Security Research Group, IASRG, and this is the third time. So basically, welcome to our webinar series. Okay, here we have one expert researcher that dealing with HoneyNet and Honeypot project. So before that, let me introduce IASRG. So IASRG is one of research group in computer science, School of Computing, whereby our focus area is in security, in data analytics, and in disaster management, and then also Internet of Things, and one of the also key important area. Now, let us introduce here Mr. Tan Kian Siong is our speaker today. So, yeah, hi, welcome, Mr. Tan.
Hi, Doctor.
Yeah, hi. So let me read his biography. So Mr. Tan Kian Siong is an independent security researcher and a member of the HoneyNet project, right? And the interesting is he is alumni UTM. He studied in 2010, and it's already 10 years back. Okay, we are very fortunate here. He involved in several open source network sensor and honeypot development, and including Dionia, Honeybee, and Gluton. And he also has spoken in conferences and share his learning experience about honeypot tool development. Okay, so before we talk serious matter about honeypot and honeynet here, maybe we let our speaker to briefly introduce his background and also the 10 years experience before while he studied in SKBSK. So surprisingly, he is not in computer science background. He is what you call biomedical student, and yet now he end up with security expert. What I think 90-degree switch. So well, Tan, before we talk about your research, maybe you can share your opinion about UTM right now. What is the difference between 10 years back with current now Synergy? Okay, over to you, Tan.
Thank you, Doctor. Thank you very much for inviting me for this particular webinar. My name is Ken Xiong. You can call me Ken. I'm always proud to be a UTM student. Yeah, and then for me, I'm a member of the HoneyNet project as an independent security researcher. During my free time, I involve in some of the honeypot tool developments, contribute code into some of the open source tool and projects. I found those things are very interesting, because it gives me a real hands-on experience. As what Doctor mentioned just now, my background is with engineering background. So I graduated from our UTM 10 years ago, and then but my personal interest is with cybersecurity. It's a big switch, so which is from engineering background and try to go into cybersecurity. And definitely, I have a lot of hard time. Hopefully, today I can share with all this kind of interesting story with you. Also, for today, I'm going to share a couple of pictures about how my honeypot tools looks like. I mean, at the end of this particular sharing, I'll be sharing a couple of photos to you. So stay tuned for it. And then I think as of Doctor mentioned, UTM, I think 10 years back is very different from 10 years right now, because UTM right now is one of the top world university. I mean, one of the top ranking university right now. That's why I always say that I'm always very proud to be a UTM student. Again, another thing is, as of a school of computing students, I feel that this is the privilege to be a school of computing students. Because personally, I don't have this experience. I always jealous for folks to be able to be joined School of Computing, learning about cybersecurity. Because of my personal different background, I learned it the hard way, going through lots of practical and hands-on experience. Try to get my hands dirty in terms of lots of learning experience. Yeah, this is just a quick brief one about myself, Doctor.
Okay, thank you, Kian. What a surprise, eh? From biology defender to network infrastructure defender. That's a switch, big switch, eh? For area.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Kian. Now, maybe you're surprised when you try to look at your old name school, Faculty of Biomedical. When you try to search, now you cannot find biomedical, Faculty of Biomedical, because we are now in Synergy. So, okay. So our umbrella is Faculty of Engineering. And then we have 6 different schools, 6 different schools. We have School of Computing, and then we have your School of Electrical Engineering, School of Mechanical, School of Civil, and School of Biomedical, and also Chemical, School of Chemical. So it's a big change, Okay, it's a big change. Now, now we talk about a serious matter regarding with your research works. Now, you have involved many different real projects, HoneyNet, different, you mentioned it 3, right? Dionia, Honeybee, and Gluton, right? So maybe as introductions, because this is technical, HoneyNet and HoneyPot. So maybe you talk a bit what is HoneyNet and HoneyPot, because it is something to do with intrusion detection, and we want to defend our network infrastructure. So this is what HoneyNet, HoneyPot. Honey means what? Is a sweet, right? So we invite malicious coming in. So maybe there is a purpose there. Why we invite and purposely invite the malicious intruder coming in. Maybe we want to learn the behavior. Once we know the behavior, then from there we develop our algorithm how to defend them. So maybe Kian, you can share your works, and starting with explaining the technical, for example, what is HoneyNet, HoneyPot, something. So over to you, Kian.
Yeah. Oh, thanks, Doctor. So for the HoneyNet project itself, HoneyNet project is a international security research organization with the main goal is to make the internet in a safer place. So this is a group of people which is fascinating and interested in this kind of so-called technology called honeypot. The honeypot is some sort of the tools that you can put on the internet and then try to listen to the internet traffic and try to learn about the attackers. So let me give some sort of a background about how this project started back then and some sort of story behind the scene. Yeah, so for example, back in 1999, this is how the HoneyNet project started. During that time, a group of security administrator, also called a system administrator, they found that their web server is always compromised whenever they put it on the internet. And then when they clean it up, the attackers, they will come back after 2 weeks. I mean, this is the truth back in 1999. So they clean it up, they put it back again. The attackers, they will come back and try to attack the same web servers again. So this group of administrators, they feel very frustrated. They kind of not knowing what to do. But there's one guy, he came up with this very brilliant idea. He said that, hey, why not we try to let the machines there we don't use the machine anymore, that particular server, but we will move the machines, whatever stuff that into another new machine. The old machine, we will put it there on the network. It's supposed not to have any single activities over there, but over the time, attackers, they came back. So in this case, this group of system administrator, they can start to continue to monitor what kind of behavior, what kind of activities in this old server itself. Surprisingly for them, over the time, over the years, they start to learn the behavior of the attackers. They try to know about what are the tools that they put inside the web server itself. And then eventually they start to learn about their tactic, some of their techniques that they use. So this form a so-called a very fundamental concept of honeypot so many years back. So as for right now, 2020, a lot of unknowingly there are a lot of honeypot put around the world. I've heard that some of the National Security Cyber Response Team, in fact they put thousands of honeypot within some sort of internet, within their IP range or the country range, and eventually they are trying to listen to the internet and try to observe what kind of things that happening on that particular honeypot itself. So this is definitely one of the good way in order to learn about attackers' activities. For me, the most exciting part about honeypot is a tools that Honeynet project release a lot of open source project or tools on the internet. All of us, we can freely download it without any payment. You can download it and play by yourself. You can set up honeypot easily, maybe within 5 or different commands by just running it on some sort of the machine itself or unused machine. So as a student, I believe that this is one of the golden opportunity because we can download it for free. You can play with it. You can look at the source code itself and you can improve it if you want to. So this is definitely a very good learning experience. Yeah, I would really highly suggest that any students right here try to play with it. Yeah, the reward is definitely very interesting.
Okay, Kian. So basically, this honeypot is we purposely provide this hardware infrastructure to purposely invite the outsider, the intruder to come in, and a purpose is we try to learn how the behavior of attacker, and from that we develop sophisticated method so that we can try to avoid the attacker. Now, so maybe here Tan, you can share with us, as you said just now, in order for you to set up the honeypot here, you don't need to have an expensive course. For example, like our final year student, if let's say they really want to go deep into this honeypot project, so maybe they just use very simple hardware, for example, Raspberry Pi, servers have Raspberry Pi, and then to set up a simple honeypot. And then from there, they try to download the code. And because honeypot is open source, right? Open source. So maybe here, Ken, you can share with us the challenge of what you need as a student to acquire this knowledge. Maybe you can share your experience, Ken?
Yeah, sure. So Doctor, in terms of setting up a honeypot stuff, I'll have a couple of suggestions or kind of what you can do if you want to start to play with this thing. So first of all, definitely you can try to look at what types of honeypot that you want to play with. There are multiple types of honeypots out there. It could be some honeypot is try to become a web application. Some honeypot is try to be turned into could be a SSH server, which is a secure shell server which allow a lot of remote administration and stuff. It could be some sort of you want to set up a honeypot that turn it to be IoT devices, Internet of Things devices. It could turn to something like router, talk about fake routers that we can put it on the internet. So in this case, this is the first step that we are trying to determine what type of honeypot tools that we want to play with. And then secondly, you can go to the website or go to some HoneyNet project website, try to pull those kind of tools, download the tools and start to build in. But before build, you can try to think of where you want to build the things. It could be very easy. You could, if you have an unused laptop or unused desktop, you can use it. But for me, it's going to be very kind of expensive because a laptop will be cost 1,000 of ringgit, or a desktop could be cost 1,000 ringgit. And the power consumptions, if you're running 24/7 in 7 days, for me, my mom will kill me, definitely. So in this case, I mean, TMB will chase me down because we are trying to run the whole thing in the 24/7. So in this case, you can try some other approach. One of the approach could be there's a small little devices called Raspberry Pi. We can buy for it within maybe 100 ringgit or 150 ringgit, a little small box of the Raspberry Pi itself, and then we can run those kind of Linux or Raspbian. It's a Debian versions of Ubuntu. You can run on it. It's just a very simple. You can set up the whole thing within maybe 30 minutes. Once you have that, we have to find a place that we can plug it in, so we have it to be exposed to the internet and try to collecting data. So this could be some approach. Another cheaper approach, which is I wish that I know about these things way earlier. I wish that someone can tell me about this easy approach, which is there's a lot of free resources out online, and those could be a cloud computing service provider. They are providing you with 2 months or 60 days of a free access. You can spin up easily maybe one of the Linux server, small Linux server, so you can run some sort of a honeypot over there. But there's a catch. Definitely will have to be follow with their legals and terms and conditions, because you should not do anything that violate their privacy or concern or their rules. But a good thing is honeypot is always meant to be non-intrusive. We're always listening. We just install it, listening there, waiting for things to be happen. Yeah, I always joke around honeypot groups, the HoneyNet project groups. These are a group of people. They just want things to be happen. Yeah, they are not sitting there. I mean, they just want things to be happen, want attacks to be seen on the honeypots, because any attacks that appear in there, they are not supposed to be there. These tools is not meant to be used. So it creates a so-called, almost zero false positive. As long as things are really happening in the small little box that you and I can set up as a student or as a security practitioner, and then with that we can start to learn about stuff. So these are some sort of a couple of different steps that will be very useful for all of us. Just try it. It's very easy. It's not that hard as I think score of 4.0 in a CGPA is much harder compared to really setting up a honeypot. Honeypot is just about learning experience. Yeah.
Okay, Kian. So according to you, you just have 100 ringgit Malaysia in order for you to set up a simple honeypot server. And then, that is in terms of hardware. What about the coding? Maybe students worry about, setup hardware is simple, but in terms of coding, because when they talk about coding, definitely involve programming, right? Programming. So what can you say about this what you call programming, this programming skill?
So in terms of playing with honeypot tools, in fact, the entry level is pretty low, which is all of us, we can just download those kind of code or those kind of installer from the internet, and then we can install it just on our own time basis. But then from what I've been seeing is when we start to play with the honeypot tool itself, after a while, you and I we may start to thinking of why these things happen, how these things work. And then while you have this kind of concept, you will definitely try to understand about the code level. So this is how the so-called programming skills coming in. Since those kind of code, source code, they are open source and publicly available on the internet, you and I, we can just download it and read through all of them and try to find something that you are really interested with. And then if later stage, right now we are understanding about how things works. And then right now, it will always at a time, somehow you thinking of, hey, how can I get new stuff? How can I improve this particular open source software? So in this case, programming skills are coming in will be very useful. You can help out in order to modify some sort of code to make it better. I mean, this is the stage that so-called more on the development side of the house, improvement of certain type of a honeypot. But then this whole flow, but just looking at from the installation perspective, things is good. Installation is just more about following the steps, 10 steps that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A lot of people are doing that. If you have some problem, you go and check it out about FAQ page. Definitely you will find the answer, because a whole every security researchers in the world facing the same problem as you. So there's no harm, not to panic. Playing with honeypot is just always a fun stuff. The later stage, playing with that definitely not satisfy you. You will try to improve it, try to make it better, and try to contribute some sort of code into it. So the programming skills will be coming in. One of the friends' story, he told me that he played with honeypot. At first, he thought of this is very complex things, but eventually he's surprised that things are just, the entry level is easy, but definitely you want to make the best out of it. You have to put more effort into it. So he tried to understand about the code for one of the project itself. So he's thinking of want to improve something, and he found that, hey, this particular honeypot tools is never act according to what I need, but the function is there. The programming code function is in the source code. So he go and check it out, and he found that in fact the code is there, but you just need one changes. It's a simple typo inside the source code of the open source software. So in this case, the feature is not working. So for him, yeah, he's trying to improve this particular feature itself. So this is such a for him, he pushed his first code commit into the so-called this open source project, and yeah, eventually he became the developers for this particular open source tool. So this is some sort of the learning experience from the guy who behind the scene. I would say that programming skill is good to have, but it involves with more and more other skills, such as setting up things, building up system, setting up Ubuntu, or setting up some sort of system, some sort of operating system command that you need to familiar with, and then eventually you install it and play with it. So by collecting all those kind of data, it will involve another very well demanding skill set right now, which is about data analytics skill. Well, those kind of honeypot tools, you go always sitting there collecting data for you. I always joke around. People say that I'm eating for those honeypot researchers or hobbies. They are eating those kind of data for their breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because those data are very valuable. You can take it and then analyze it by yourself, and then look through it at your own time, at your own target. Nobody will really try to chase you down, but that's your own target, and you can create your own story out of it. Yeah, so this is just a small sharing about if a programming skill is relevant for honeypot tools. Is it you can gain more skill with this kind of honeypot tools development. Yeah. All right. Oh, let me share some of the story, which is I feel that this is particularly very interesting and important. Yeah, would be good to share some of the slides right here about something that I can be sharing. Yeah. So, Doctor, can I share about this particular story from the slide?
Okay. Yeah. Sorry for the technical error here.
No problem,
Yeah.
no problem. Yeah.
Okay.
If I can take a time machine, fly myself back to 10 years ago, and I meet myself back in university and in our UTM, University of Technology Malaysia, what is the one thing that I will tell myself? So this is something that I really, really hope that I can share with a lot of folks right here. This is one of the programs you may or may not heard about it before. This is I feel that I was humble and I was lucky enough to be able to join this Google Summer of Code while I was still a student. So this is a program organized by Google. So is Google try to encourage students to be contribute code into open source project. Yeah. So how it works? This will be Google will be selected some sort of different organizations. And organization, those could be open source software, Apache, Red Hat, some sort of you name it, you have it. It's including security software, IT software, data management software, all those kind of public open source tools that are available in the internet. And then student, as you and I, we can apply for it. Yeah, this program is open for all students around the world globally, as long as you are students, no matter it's university student, first year, second year, third year, fourth year, master students or PhD students, you can really apply to be joined into this particular Google Summer of Code. Yeah. How it works. Let me share with this by maybe 4 different stage. Yeah, because I've been through with this program and I found that this is really useful. So during the first stage, this is usually the whole program will be announced by Google around January, early of the year, and then it will be go through until August. Unfortunately, for this year, Google Summer of Code 2020, today, August 25th, is the last day of the coding session itself. So for all of us, whoever we want to join, we can start prepare for it because it will get you a good chance to be joined next year into this program. Yeah. If you are able to join to this program, it doesn't mean that you are working with Google or you have any internships with Google. It's just a Google initiative that try to support open source community. Yeah. So during the first stage, organizations will apply for it. Apply that, hey, we want to be joined into this Google Summer of Code 2021, for example. And then Google will handpick and they will select, could be, for example, 100 or 200 organizations. Each of the organizations will be allocated with certain amount of slot. Take for example, Honeynet project could be allocated 3 people, 5 people, or 20 people to be three students. They will be joined for this program. So second stage will be, as a student, how can we prepare for this? Yeah, in this during the organization selections, organizations they will put their idea, what they want to be improved of certain particular open source tools on their website. For example, the Honeynet project will have a page. You have the page with all the 15 or 20 project lists. How can you improve this software? What we want to improve that software? What kind of new feature we want to put in, or what kind of new tools that we plan to be built on it. Yeah, this is interesting stuff because usually whoever the author of the open source tools, they are also they could be also the industry expert. And then usually everyone is fair. You and I, we have 24 hours. People, they may have their own. Everyone has our own life, and you may not have the time in order to go to in order to really implement these kind of new ideas. That's how we as students we coming in, right? So in this case, we can go through those kind of lists. Within the project idea, they would have some sort of skill set that you need. For example, this project idea will need Python. This project idea will need Golang. This project idea maybe will need just some database skills, SQL, basic SQL query or some sort of stuff, you can go through all the lists for different organizations and then pick the one that you are interested with and start to prepare your proposal for it. Yeah, this will become the stage 3, how to prepare the proposal. How can we apply for it? This proposal is going to cost you $1,000 because eventually at the end of the entire Google Summer of Code, Google will pay the students because they expect us to be, as a student, to be putting in 30 hours a week, around like 6 hours a day to code for the things, and there must be an outcome. So the proposal could be include what is your idea? What do you want to do? What is your plan within that 3 months? Because this Google Summer of Code will require us to code for 3 months for the particular organizations to improve some of the open source project. Yeah, so but definitely one single proposal submissions will never get you into this project. Trust me, yeah, will never get you into this project because the main thing is we need to communicate to the project, whoever suggests the project idea, or the author of the project, or the open source community who in charge of that project itself. You can join to the IRC channel, Slack, or Discord channel. Those folks, they are really helpful. They could be the original author of the project itself, because he's the one has the idea, want to be improved. You have to be communicate with him. Try to say, hey, Mr. A, hey, Mr. John, I'm students from UTM. I'm very interested about your project. How can I involve in it? How can I? What is the idea that you need? How can I do that? This is one of the main tips that in order to secure ourselves and get ourselves into the programming. Not just a one single proposal. I mean, proposal is just about words, but the communication with the community, engagement with the community, this is what Google, in fact, they are really encouraged with. So this is the third step. So the fourth step will be, if you get selected, really congratulations, because globally, what I heard is there are few thousands of folks really want to be in this program, but in yearly, it could be 1,000 people, students get selected for this. So it's going to be awesome if you can get yourself, for someone from Malaysia, someone from UTM, really to be part of this. 1,000 people contribute to participating in the Google Summer of Code. Yeah, so this is how so-called the whole entire project, the whole flow of this Google Summer of Code. Again, if I can take a time machines back to myself and try to talk to Kian back in the UTM, this is the only thing that I will tell myself, definitely. Yeah. Next, please. Yeah. So as of contributing to open source project, for the Honeynet project itself, I try to help out in some of the code and try to improving some of the tools. For Honeynet project, we will have different workshop around the world. The main goal is to try to gather all the researchers in the same place, all the people with the same like-minded, the security community in the same place. Then you can start to discuss about what is the new techniques that we develop, what are the cool stuff that you want to do. If you have any idea, how can I help? So this is how the project get together. Last year, our Honeynet project annual workshop was in Australia. A year ago was in Taiwan, and then even a year ago was in Australia. And this was back in 2013. This was in Dubai. I'm trying to find pictures for myself with the workshop itself. I think this is the closest pictures that I have, because the guys on the left, I think this looks like me. Yeah. I would really encourage a student. We can contribute to open source project, because and then usually in this case, for example, you can share about your finding in this kind of workshop. Open source project will always love to have young people or folks to join, and then later stage they will really want you to share about your finding, your cool stuff, your idea. Yeah, and this is how this kind of project workshop, I believe that different organizations will have their own way of how to get their community meet up together. This is how what the Honeynet project is doing. Yeah. Next, please. Yeah. So as promised, I'm going to share with you about how my honeypots looks like. It's nothing fancy, not $1 million server rack, but I just have one single Raspberry Pi, which I use it at home. And in this case, it's running so-called the honeypot that I want it to be run to. So this is just 100 ringgit of the cost itself. And then really good thing is this thing is running on a Samsung charger, which is a Samsung charger. You can plug it in for the whole day, or else again, my mom will kill me. Yeah. Yeah. I will highly recommend that you can try this approach, but again, there's also another free approach that you can go for. Instead of spending 100 ringgit, you can go and try to find those online free resources, such as some cloud computing cloud servers. They're offering free server. You can try to run something on that. Try it out first before you're thinking of you want to spend something 100 ringgit or 200 ringgit on to buying something for your own setup. This is what I have for with my very initial setup as a honeypot. I always said that. I think this looks like a final year project, but what I can tell you, security practitioners out there, even though how they work for many years, security professionals out there, eventually you need to get your hands dirty. Yeah. So the only way that you get your hands dirty is still always back to this kind of very raw and very low cost stuff, because nobody really want to spend maybe thousands of dollars in order just to run a honeypot for a hobby. Yeah. This is just one honeypot. So next slide, please. One is not enough for me, so I upgraded my one honeypot to a server to a Raspberry Pi farm with a three Raspberry Pi running over there. Yeah. This is what happened in my room back then. This is what happened in the daytime. You can see all the beautiful light there. Next slide, please. This is what happened in the nighttime. Yeah, beautiful blinking lights in my room. Yeah. Yeah. So next slide, please. Yeah. So if you want to check it out, this is the HoneyNet project page, www.honeynet.org. You can find lots of cool information there, some sort of a new project, some sort of existing nice project, or some sort of latest developments for the HoneyNet project. So I highly encourage everyone just play with it. Yeah.
Okay, Kian. Right. I mean, that's a very fruitful sharing experience, where you started with hobbies, and then trying to hook with Google Summer Code, Google Summer Code, and then from there you develop your programming skills, right? If you notice that now, so basically Google, if you are very active in Google activities, so normally people, normally Google know you, Google pay you. You not request work from Google's, but Google has already got your profiling right now, right? Okay. So while we are having discussion here, maybe we can have some question from the audience. If you have anything to ask Mr. Kian, you can freely pose your question here. So you are freedom to pose, and I'm sure that Mr. Kian will happily answer for you or sharing his experience. Okay, Kian. Okay, let's say if you let's say one final year student, right? One final year student interest with this honeypot. So what is the step that you can advise him in order for him to make a move? For example, right, first set up a simple honeypot, and then like you said, acquired open source honeypot coding algorithm source code, then try by yourself, dirty your hands, and from that develop the expert. Okay, in your opinion, what are the challenges, the hard the hard work for the student to start this kind of interest? What is the challenge, the most challenging part, in your opinion?
I think when for me, if Doctor, these are very tough questions. So I think for all of us, we want to get into something new. The first thing is how can I get started? How can I get started? If someone can point me to some of the place that we can start the things, kickstart the whole stuff. But I would rather pose it, rephrase the whole thing into something that how can we start the whole things by ourselves? So definitely it's all about our own initiative. Kind of we try to look for the informations by ourselves, and because those information will be available on the internet, you can try to look for it, and then eventually when you found something, just try it out. Just go and try it out. You may try to things that you want to set up something it will take time consuming, pretty time consuming. But in this case, you can just freely set it up because the documentation is there. Just a few 5 command, pop. That's it. You have your first honeypot set up. If we never step out our first step, you'll never get there. But another thing I will really also I want to point out is there's a lot of different field in the security. Even in a honeypot, there are different types of honeypot out there. How can you pick the one that you're interested? Yeah, I will say that it's always go through about the learning experience. If you try one, fail one, try one, fail one, try one, fail one. Another experience I found is quite useful is you can try to look for some sort of things on social media or especially on YouTube, because people are keen to sharing about your experience over there. One of the best ways is if we don't know something, we can go into YouTube or some sort of online media looking for, hey, give me honeypot 101. So people will share about the video, and then the video is just 4 minutes. If we can look at a singer, YouTube celebrity talk for 10 minutes, why not we are just spending for 4 minutes looking at how people are setting up honeypot? Within the 4 minutes, then you will get a sense. Either this is interesting stuff or it's just a very boring things. Don't trust Ken Xiong. Ken Xiong is a liar. But that thing, eventually you will find something that that's really catch our attention. Hey, this is something that I want to, that we can play with it. The next step will be back to the same circle, which is get our hands dirty, setting up the stuff. Getting an overview, setting up by ourselves, playing with it, and try to ask 2 questions later, why it works, how it works, and later stage, how can I improve it better? Yeah. So this is how some sort of the challenge and how can we tackle it one by one together as a students, as a security practitioners. This always the same things. It's always the same for all of us. Yeah.
Yeah. So the keyword is don't afraid yourself to to be failure, right?
Yep.
When you try to set up hardware in one time, maybe you get failed. But well, there is a lot of hubs out there. For example, you can just use in the YouTube resources. Very simple. You ask the question, and then YouTube, maybe your answers is in the YouTube. Okay. While we are discussing again, if we have any, you got any question to ask, you can post your question here. Right. So one more thing, maybe Ken, you can share with us. Right. In terms of opportunities out there, let's say you have this kind of knowledge, right? Expert in intrusion detection system or honeypot knowledge. What are the possible jobs that a student can have out there? And the most important thing is salaries. If you can share about a bit the salaries that the student can get, you have this expert outside. Okay, Kian.
Oh yeah, so Doctor, definitely, I'm not really an expert. I'm still a practitioner and try to get myself to be better and better. Yeah, and then So in terms of the job opportunity, this is a tough one. So because security is huge. The cybersecurity industry is huge. There's a lot of different domain over there. For example, web application security, mobile application security. You have a networking or network security. You have a maybe system security engineering, system security engineering. There are lots of things out there, but it will always depends on what is our own interests and what are the skill sets that we have on our hand. So let's take a quick example. If you are someone you like to code, because I think all of us from, a lot of folks here are from School of Computing. You like to code, you like to use program in order to channel your idea, in order to build something out from the program. Those things really get you excited, and you want to be going to this industry. There are security engineers that try to build certain security product appliances, try to be a cyber defense, defenders by building different tools. This could be one of the way to go for to be a security engineer. And then if you don't like to code, it's fine. It is totally fine, because not everyone like to code. Yeah. If you don't like to code, but you like to build things, for example, if you give a number of servers, how can you place it in a nice way? You want to secure the network. You like to architecture things, put different pictures together, gel up into one big pictures. I would suggest that in network architect or application layers of architect, how can you get a different component of software, connect to each other's, make the best out of this, how to attack it, how to secure it. Yeah, this is could be one of the there are lots of opportunity out there in terms of how to be in this portion. So if you don't like build things, you like to analyze stuff. There are lots of opportunity out there about data analytics and kind of investigating malicious activities in a huge network. A lot of international company or security company, they are looking for this kind of talent and this kind of skill set. So, for example, you will be given a network packet capture. How can you find story out of it? What is good? What is bad? You are given a forensic image, maybe some sort of a system image. What is the malicious activity there? What is the normal stuff? So this is one of the interesting stuff to go. With that, some sort of like big data stuff, if you have a lot of different security log, firewall log, how can you quickly find those kind of interesting attackers trail, small little tiny trail from the needle of the stack, get your own story out of it. Yeah. So this could be another way to go. These are the three. What if you say that, Ken Chong, I don't like to build stuff, I don't like to analyze things. Yeah. So if in this case, if you'd like to break things, so let's be careful right here, because when you try to break things, it means that we have to be doing it in a controlled environment or the safe environment. Definitely, we should not go for those kind of illegal stuff, such as taking some others live server out there, other company or government entity. This is criminal. This is illegal. Don't try it, because eventually they will bite. These whole things will bite you back, maybe numbers of years after that. Be ethical with it. If you like to build things, you like to finding vulnerability in terms of certain system flaw, yeah, that will be really. There's a lot of opportunity as well. Security company will be like to hiring those guys who can security consultant. They can break into the system, and then later stage you have to be prepared, report, and share with them with the finding. So the best part coming in later, which is how can you defend the network? You can break it, but how can you defend the network? Cybersecurity will never be complete with just one side of the house. It's always about I personally like to say that this is an art instead of science. It's art of defense and attack and defense. How you attack it, how you defend it. So this is how the four things. Last but not least, if you are looking at, for example, if you don't like to break things, you don't like to build stuff, you don't like to analyze things, but you like to look at things from a bigger perspective, strategy type of things. Hey, how can I solve this problem? I have a 3-step strategy in mind, 3 steps. There are lots of different opportunity out there. You can become some sort of security consultant, or some people they are strategies, evangelists, kind of this kind of role. So definitely there are lots of opportunity out there, but don't quote on me on this just few example. This is just a very small, tiny example from what I know. The opportunity is out there. Just try to go for it. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Kian. A very
Thanks,
good sharing. We have one question from Eric Koo here. Hi, Kian. What is your opinion on the future of the honeypot? Like, what is the role of honeypot in the cybersecurity domains? So, the future direction of honeypot development.
Oh,
Kian.
thanks, Eric. This is a very wonderful question. A very good question. Is give us a lot of good food for thought. So honeypot tools were developed with the concept itself, developed back in 1999. After 20 years, these honeypot tools and technology is deeply used by a lot of folks in the world. So, for example, some national cybersecurity agency or national cybersecurity response teams, because eventually this will lead to so-called, as a cybersecurity defenders, we want to understand how attacks work. With the only things that we've only understand about how the attacks work, we can only develop the defense perspective. And we are always want to be stay ahead of those kind of bad guy in the scene. And in order to stay ahead, we need to understand about their tactic or how they're doing the stuff. This is how honeypot tools playing the role. Yeah. In fact, the whole thing, honeypot technologies continue to evolve. Honeypot will be evolved as well. Right now, in fact, after 20 years, the definition of honeypot is not limited to just a small server that try to listening something. It could be some sort of things that is some sort of concept that so-called honey token, which is you have some sort of token, you put it somewhere. As long as somebody step on it, then you know, hey, something is wrong. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. There it could be evolved into some sort of analysis tool or some sort of tools that can help us in order to get more information about the bad guy on the internet. This is how what I see for the future. But definitely in the futures, we are going to be replaced by robot. Yeah. But in this case, how as a security researchers, security practitioner, as a students, how can prepare ourselves with all this kind of knowledge? Because eventually, whatever things that we are going to do today will be helping out in shaping so-called maybe the next generation of the security defense, or so-called how the future's development of the honeypot itself. Yeah. So Eric, feel free to play with a honeypot. I really highly encourage you to do that.
Okay, Kian. Maybe right now we are talking about data science, right? Data science, data analytics, because we have a huge data, and maybe in future we do not know this honeypot become autonomous honeypot with intelligence. So maybe there is what we call data analytics coming in. So we don't know in the future. Okay,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, because of the data stuff, because of all the things that together, all these things will link to each other's later. Definitely, yeah, because of the data collected, we try to turn the data into a useful information. Yeah.
Okay, Kian, we have already near 1 hour on air. So many things that you have shared with us, and I guess we have get many good experience. Let me see if we have any other questions from the audience. Okay. Right. So maybe you have shared a clear everything, so no questions from the audience. But it's okay with your triggering idea how to start up, how to get interest with this project. Maybe students can, out there can learn something and make a move. Right. So last word from you. Is there anything that you want to share with us? For example, your hope to UTMs?
Oh yeah, last thing. Let me think about it. Doctor, you
never mention the salaries.
Sarah, oh yeah, I mean, I'm not really too sure about it. Yeah, seriously. Yeah. I think, Doctor, you give me a lot of tough question, you know.
Experience.
Yeah, but I think one thing I want to share, maybe I feel that this one of the senior before when I graduate from our UTM, he told me about these things. I hope that this will be very useful for all of us. As a UTM student, as a student from Malaysia, sometimes, back then, I was always thinking that, hey, we are just competing with the students from our own classroom or our own peers within the other university in Malaysia. But in fact, it is not, because this senior, he told me that he just gave me one single word, which is you should think big. Yeah, because what we are doing, as a students in a university, UTM students, in fact, we are competing with a lot of other students around the world. So this is all our the competition is there. Some students from a top one university, and then our UTM is one of the top 100 university, for example, in this case. So the competition is huge around the world. So definitely not limit ourselves into just a small, just into our own local community or national community. And then in this case, how about if the competitions definitely is there, but with competitions, it brings with a new opportunity. So opportunity as well is there's a lot globally, in the national level, in the international level. So just try to go for it. Think big. Just try to go for it and start small. Think big. Yeah, that's what I've been told, shared by one of the senior back in UTM, and I'm carrying it all the time with me. Yeah.
Okay, Kian, very good advice. Start small, think big. Really good advice. Okay, Kian, I have one more question here from Mukta Ahmed. Can you share something what you are doing right now? Maybe beside Honeypot. So, is there any other activities that you are doing right now?
So as part of the HoneyNet, member of the HoneyNet project, this is almost all my free time and almost all my hobby stuff. So I spend lots of time on my hobby. So, but then in my day job, I'm working with one of the security company, investigating security incidents. That's what I've been doing in my day jobs. But then for me, I'm always interested about HoneyNet stuff, HoneyPot stuff. So I'm doing it as a hobby. And eventually this hobby, whatever skill set that I'm playing with my small little honeypot, those kind of skill set eventually contribute and really helpful in terms of my day job itself. Yeah.
So it is regarding your hobbies, right? From the hobbies, hobbies. You develop the expert from the hobbies. Yeah. Okay. I think there is no other questions. I better write up what we 1 hour we have a conversation, good conversations. So as a student, you have to explore the current technologies, what we have, what we need for the future security knowledge, and definitely expert in security experts is very demanding out there. For example, like now, everything is online, right? Everything is also online, and there are so many bad guys out there, and we should have a good defender and how to understand this kind of behavior through honeypot. So thank you very much, Kian, for sharing a good experience with us today. And with that, thank you and have a nice day, Kian. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Doctor. Thanks for inviting. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.